Have you ever heard of a military operation so strange, it sounds more like a plot from a bizarre movie than a real event? Throughout history, wars have pushed humanity to its limits, not just in bravery or cruelty, but sometimes in creativity and absurdity too. Some operations were so bizarre, so unbelievable, that even today they leave historians shaking their heads. In today's video, we'll dive deep into some of the most mind-blowing military operations ever attempted. And trust me, the final story is so unbelievable, you'll be questioning whether it actually happened. So, make sure to stay with me until the end. You won't want to miss it. Let's begin. Our journey begins in the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea in 1976. Imagine a landscape scarred by conflict, split down the middle by a strip of land where every step could be your last. It was here that a seemingly innocuous poplar tree took center stage in a drama that could have had catastrophic consequences. The poplar, you see, had the audacity to grow tall and leafy, its branches obscuring the line of sight between a United Nations checkpoint and an observation post. The Americans and South Koreans decided to trim the tree, a seemingly simple task. But the North Koreans saw this as a provocation. As the American and South Korean soldiers approached the tree, axes and chainsaws in hand, North Korean troops stormed across the border, weapons drawn. 2 U.S. officers lay dead, the victims of a brutal axe attack. The response from the United States was swift and overwhelming, a display of military might intended to send an unambiguous message. They called it Operation Paul Bunyan, named after the mythical lumberjack of American folklore. Imagine this. A convoy of 23 heavily armed vehicles, bristling with soldiers, rumbling towards that solitary poplar tree. Overhead, B-52 bombers cast ominous shadows on the ground. For 3 tense hours, the world held its breath as the lumberjack soldiers went about their work, their every move watched by the North Korean forces. If you're enjoying these incredible stories so far, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps us bring even more unbelievable moments from history right to you. Now let's dive into our next mind-blowing operation. The year is 1943. The world is engulfed in the flames of World War II, and the outcome of the conflict hangs precariously in the balance. The Allies, locked in a deadly struggle with the Nazi war machine, are planning their next move, a daring invasion of Sicily, the gateway to mainland Italy. But there's a problem. The Germans, masters of defense, are waiting, their forces concentrated in the Mediterranean, ready to repel any Allied incursion. The Allies need a distraction, a way to convince the Nazis that their sights are set on a different target. And so, from the shadows of wartime espionage emerges Operation Mincemeat, a plan as audacious as it is macabre. At the heart of this deception lies a most peculiar protagonist, a corpse. The body of a man who had died of pneumonia. British intelligence, in a stroke of morbid genius, saw in this dead man the potential to breathe life into their audacious plan. They dressed him in the uniform of a Royal Marine officer, a meticulous transformation designed to withstand scrutiny. They gave him a name, Major William Martin, and a life story, carefully crafted to create the illusion of a man on a top-secret mission. And in the briefcase chained to his wrist, they placed their most valuable payload fake documents, meticulously forged, detailing Allied plans to invade Greece, not Sicily. The corpse, now Major Martin, was released from a submarine off the coast of Spain. The plan worked flawlessly. The body washed ashore, was discovered by the Spanish authorities, and, as expected, the documents found their way into the hands of German intelligence. Hitler himself, convinced that Greece was the true target, diverted troops from Sicily, weakening his defenses at the very point where the Allies planned to strike. Chapter 3. Operation Acoustic Kitty, the CIA's feline espionage fiasco. The Cold War, a time of paranoia and suspicion when the superpowers locked horns in a silent struggle for dominance. In this atmosphere of mistrust, both the United States and the Soviet Union poured vast resources into espionage. It was during this time that the CIA embarked on a project so outlandish, so seemingly absurd, that it would strain the bounds of credulity. They called it Operation Acoustic Kitty, and its aim was to transform the humble house cat into a sophisticated, stealthy listening device. Imagine, if you will, a world where cats, those furry companions we share our homes with, become agents of espionage. The project involved a team of scientists, engineers, and veterinarians working in secrecy. Tiny microphones were implanted into the cats' ears, transmitters were inserted beneath their skin, and thin antennas, disguised as whiskers, protruded from their faces. These were no ordinary house cats. These were feline cyborgs. The cost of this audacious project ran into the millions. But there was one crucial factor they had failed to account for: the unpredictable nature of cats. The first field test, conducted on a busy Washington, D.C. street, was a disaster of epic proportions. The Battle of Caransebeș, the night the Austrians attacked themselves. The year is 1788, and the setting is the town of Caransebeș. The Austrian army, a formidable force, was on edge. Across the border lay the Ottoman Empire, their ancient enemy, and tensions were running high. War was in the air, and the Austrians, eager to defend their territory, were on high alert. Little did they know that their greatest enemy that night would not be the Ottomans, but themselves. It all began with a misunderstanding, a series of unfortunate events that spiraled out of control with tragicomic consequences. A contingent of Austrian hussars, the elite cavalrymen of the army, crossed the Timus River, their mission to scout for signs of the enemy. They found not the Ottoman army, but something far more alluring: a group of Romani merchants selling schnapps. The thirsty hussars indulged in a little too much merriment. Meanwhile, on the other side of the river, the main body of the Austrian army was approaching. When they heard the sounds of revelry emanating from the hussars' camp, they assumed the worst: the Ottomans were attacking. Chaos ensued. Alarms were raised, orders were shouted, and soon the entire Austrian army was stumbling towards the hussars' camp. The hussars, woken from their drunken stupor by the approaching army, panicked, believing they were being overrun by the Ottomans. They opened fire, their muskets flashing in the darkness. Operation PLUTO, the pipeline under the ocean. The year is 1944. The Allied forces, having secured a precarious foothold on the beaches of Normandy, are poised to liberate Europe from the grip of Nazi tyranny. But their advance is dependent on a constant, reliable supply of fuel. The English Channel posed a formidable obstacle. German U-boats prowled the waters, eager to sink any Allied ships attempting to cross. The traditional methods of supplying an army were deemed too slow, too vulnerable. A radical solution was needed, and so, from the minds of engineers and military planners, emerged Operation PLUTO, an acronym for Pipeline Under the Ocean. Imagine, if you will, a pipeline, not buried beneath the ground, but snaking its way along the seabed, carrying millions of gallons of vital fuel from the refineries of England to the battlefields of France. The pipelines, made of a new type of flexible steel, had to be strong enough to withstand the immense pressure of the ocean depths, yet flexible enough to be laid by specially modified ships. Mile after mile of pipeline was laid, a secret artery pumping lifeblood to the Allied war machine. By D-Day, June 6, 1944, 3 pipelines were operational. By the end of the war, a staggering 172 million gallons of fuel had flowed beneath the English Channel. History is often stranger than fiction. From cutting down trees with an army, to turning cats into spies, to battles lost without an enemy even present. These stories show that in war, reality can be even more unbelievable than imagination. They remind us that human creativity knows no limits, whether in pursuit of victory, survival, or sometimes pure chaos. These operations, as bizarre as they may seem, offer a glimpse into the human condition under pressure, the lengths to which we will go to achieve our objectives, whether noble or misguided. Which of these operations shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through some of history's most bizarre moments, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from the past.